Okay, we are here on our virtual field trip looking for open community spaces at schools. And while this virtual field trip may be a little different since the audience is teachers, to show them what open community use and and community spaces that are open for everyone, but also school open community use spaces are available or could be available. So typically we would look for, not typically, but we would first want to look for, as I've assigned, the policy for your district. So you want to make sure to see if your district has an open community use policy, and sometimes that's left up to the building administrator to determine what facilities are open for community use and what time. And so those kind of parameters would, for the use of facilities outside of school time, would be left to the building administrator. But the district should have an open community use policy that allows for each building site to determine that use. So I'm going to flip the camera around, and we're going to see if I can do that. Let's see. So I'm going to show that this is Harbison West Elementary School in Irmo, South Carolina. It is part of Lexington Richland District number 5, and there's basketball courts and climbing and sliding equipment, and plenty of play space here, really, for children to be able to be active, jumping rope and doing lots of different things. Unfortunately, there is a no trespassing sign here, which is not what we would hope to see. We would hope we would see open for community use during certain hours. And this evidently is not an open community use playground, so we would hope that we would see that sign change pretty soon. Okay. Now we're going to go explore some other areas close to this school that are community recreation that are open for children to use and families to use outside of the school time. So here I am again on the other side of Harbison West Elementary School, which, if you can see, if I can zoom in, the sun's pretty bright today. If I can zoom in, you can see there's another basketball court. There's another play space, which is probably for a pre-K group. But there's some nice paved walking trail, and I will explain that to you because that actually belongs to the neighborhood and to the community. But it brings the children, this walking trail goes, you can see that goes all the way into the wooded area. It actually connects behind homes throughout the entire Harbison neighborhood, and so the children can walk and bike to school. So if you live in an area that has such a trail system, it's really nice because they're not on the road walking or biking where there's traffic. Some people are a little afraid of children walking in the woods by themselves on a trail, but they don't have to walk unaccompanied. You could actually start a walking school bus from the different areas of your neighborhood. This is an original HUD designed mixed-use community neighborhood. So it was designed in the 70s, and most of the homes were started to be built in the 70s and 80s. There's a few newer ones, but for the most part it's there. There's also a center field that has some concrete around it. I'm not really certain what that is for. What I also do see again is another no trespassing sign, which is not what we want to see. This happens to be the school district where my children went to school. So my challenge would be is that if your school district doesn't have an open community use and you see all of these beautiful, wonderful, wide open spaces that are not being occupied or used during out of school time when they could be, this is an opportunity for you to get that policy changed. So we are at the back of Harbison West Elementary School, on the different side of the school from the portion we just looked at, and I see a small play area with a structure, which is probably a pre-K. There's also another See if I can zoom in. The sun is pretty bright. It's hard to see from my phone that I'm shooting from. And there's another basketball area there with some seating and another play space under the shaded tree over there. There's also a nice walking trail system that you can see, and I'm going to take you all the way. That's going to go into the wooded area. That trail system actually connects behind homes within this neighborhood. This neighborhood is a HUD designed neighborhood. It's one of the only remaining HUD mixed use designs from the 70s that exist, although not existing as it should have because an interstate eventually cut right through the middle of it. But still, it was designed so that everything should be walkable and that there should be mixed use with schools, churches, business, healthcare. All of those things should be within short commute distance by walking, biking, and or short auto transportation. So that's really kind of cool because it was designed to promote, to be able to promote physical activity. Wasn't the original intent, but it was certainly part of the planning as it went in the 70s, when of course physical activity and physical fitness was a big thing, a big deal. So the sad part of this is that there you see there's a backstop, which I guess they could be playing softball, baseball, kickball, something. And then there's a field center in the center there. I'm not sure what that's for because it's surrounded by concrete. But unfortunately, there's also a no trespassing sign. So I would challenge you that if you have beautiful spaces like this that do have some connectivity in your school district, that you go out and find out about it first, that you take your own field trip for yourself and your colleagues, gather some folks from your school, gather some parents, and take a field trip to go see what the situation is. This is a perfect, beautiful afternoon, and the weather is great. It's a little crisp air, nice sunshine, a perfect day for children and families to be out and moving about. So, okay, we'll go on to the next site. So, not far, but about a block away from Harbison West Elementary School is a lake, and I'm getting ready to take you to see the lake, but I can show you the trail that I spoke of earlier that brings children from their homes, either by bike or walking, to Harbison West Elementary School, also goes around this lake. And it also goes under the road, it goes to the mall, and it actually crosses, there's actually a pathway to a bridge that goes over the interstate that is a covered, like a cage, so that it's a protected bridge that adults can walk. I wouldn't recommend that children do that at a young age. So let's just take a little walk, since we are talking about moving and walking. And let's see a little bit about this beautiful lake that would be a short field trip for the children from Harbison West Elementary School. I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to go down this path, even though it's not a real path, which is another thing you would want to make sure of, is where the entrance and exit points are for the various things. Ooh. And you can see that there's a walking path. It's a beautiful lake. Here's some fitness equipment, some bars. We've got parallel bars, and we've got some pull-up bars. And we've got a nice bench here as well. This is great that this has been installed, and this is the part of the community, so it's open for everyone. And as you can see, that there are people who walk and bring their dogs. There's some coming behind me, so but it's a nice walking path. It would be a great outing and a picnic for the day for children, or to suggest to parents that they come over here and that they visit a place like this, and they can walk and bring snacks or a little picnic for the day. And it's a nice good long walk around the entire lake. So this path, as you can see, is a beautiful lake. It's not a huge lake, it's a small lake. Some might call it a big pond. but it goes all the way back into that area, and this pathway walks all the way around. Now, the other thing is to look when you're in outdoor spaces for all types of signage. So there are signs at quarter-mile markers on this, and encouraging you to take your pulse. So this is a nice learning. This was done as an Eagle Scout project, I see. So this is a nice learning activity for children. So this would be a great field trip for the kids from Harbison West Elementary. So as you can see, the trail system goes under the road, connecting opposite sides of the neighborhood so that people and children don't have to navigate crossing a busy street. It's really cool. There are 4 basketball goals, and the gate is locked. Unfortunately, there are 4 basketball goals here, which could be 2 with 4 games going on half court at one time, but and the gates are locked. It's not open community use, but I am told that open community use occurs at Crossroads, so we're going to venture on over to Crossroads Middle School. Okay, so here we are at Crossroads Middle School, which is an all 6th grade school in Lexington-Richland District 5. The school serves all of the 6th graders that go to 2 different attendance areas in this district. They will end up going to different middle schools and high schools after the 6th grade. But it does have some open community use. And I'm going to flip this around to see the sign if I can. So this is the kind of sign that we want to see for open community use, for students and families and others to use the facilities outside of after the school hours. So no limited use area, no trespassing during school hours. Obviously the physical education department should be using these facilities for programming and classes with students. And definitely they want to keep it off limits during the night hours to keep down vandalism. But what we do know about open community use is that typically the more people use facilities, the less vandalism they have, because the people that use the facilities are watching out for it and they value it. So they take care of it. So I'm going to swing over here and show you that there's again 4 basketball goals here. They're not in use today. Again, it's an absolutely beautiful October day here on a weekend, and these should be in use by someone. And if the PE teachers would be assigning physical basketball skill practice, perhaps they would be. You will see that I'm going to be showing you here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 courts, I believe. And there's 4 additional basketball goals on the other side. So we have tennis courts here that are actually in use today. I'm not going to get too close to those gentlemen because they haven't given me permission to film them. But this is amazing that this is open community use, and that we could be using the tennis courts. Children and families could be using these tennis courts to practice to learn tennis and practice those skills and hone those skills and get some great physical activity. So this is amazing. Glad to see this. I would hope the other schools would do the same. Just had a lovely conversation with Coach Brown from Dutch Fork High School, which is a part of this school district, and found out that this is an open community use area. It also is has a joint use agreement with the local Irmo Chapin Recreation Commission. So I'm going to flip this. Make sure that we got that. There's a track that goes all the way around. It looks like it's about a quarter of a mile track, asphalt. Soccer field, soccer goals, another additional soccer fields beyond that. Looks like a softball, baseball field on the other side of the shed over there. We've got some folks out here practicing some football moves, and we also have on this asphalt drawn some foursquare. So hopefully you can see that foursquare. There's 4 sets of foursquare drawn here. And the school up there is the school that had the locked basketball courts that I was at previously. And you can see that it's literally a roll down the hill and a stone's throw from the school that does have open community use. This all was developed and provided with funds from both the school district and the Irmo Chapin Recreation Department, which is a joint use agreement, joint development and use agreement. So we just took a tour of the facilities that are just beyond these signs, and you can see that this does have open community use after our school hours from after 4 p.m. and other signage that's in the area says not between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. and so it's open after 4 p.m. for students and families and neighbors, the neighborhood to use as well. And then you can see that this is also signed. This facility, the tennis courts, basketball courts, the track, the fields were developed as a joint use agreement with the Irmo Chapin Recreation Department and Lexington Richland School District 5. So that's a great way to save money and space, so it's not duplicative, because often the fields are not used during the day, during the Monday through Friday day for the recreation department, but they are used after school and on weekends, and the school's not using them during that time frame in many instances. So it's a great way to use public funds and also provide open use for the community.